So, bows versus bros? And what's good? It's your boy J to the B, one half of Bows and Bros. We appreciate you watching the first episode, and we appreciate you coming back for the second. So without further ado, let's jump back in where we left off.
When I went to kindergarten, I just thought I met my best friend. She could be my best friend for the rest of my life. Yeah. And then the next 2 weeks, she had another best friend. I learned early, like, oh yeah, people will switch up on you real quick. They'll find another tribe real quick. So I learned how early in the game to be okay, right? To be okay with like, okay, she might be cool or he might be cool with me today, but you never know what's gonna happen the next day. So treat people. Everybody is seasonal. Family members, sometimes even your kids, until they come back.
Talk about it.
Until they come back. But at the end of the day, like we go back to, I forgot who said protect your peace. You gotta protect your peace even against seasonal people.
And who you telling?
You need to let them go first.
Right. That's a whole episode by itself.
Okay, that's a whole show. We can't do that tonight. But I will say, who said? Somebody said friendships. Didn't you say that? Somebody, friendship, breaking up with a girlfriend is always worse than a male. The male gonna move on, do whatever he got to do. She gonna go run her mouth. Yeah. 9 times out of 10, it's not gonna be the truth. And I am one who get really mad if you tell a story wrong. Yeah. I will repeat everything that I say. Right. No ands, if, or buts about it. Right. But when they add to and take away, that's what gets me. Right. Like, okay, we went our separate ways. You go do you, I'm going to go do me. But why you got to go tell everybody? I don't talk until someone asks me, well, did you and so stop talking because of this? I'm like, no. And then it's like you got to explain yourself. Yeah. For no reason. So now that I'm older, because when I hit 40, I don't care anymore. Think what you want to think, believe what you want to believe. Yeah, that's how it happened. Yep, I stole her dog. Whatever you wanted to think, I did it. Yeah, if she said I did it, I did it. And so that way she can have that. And I don't have to worry about it. But females can just be petty sometimes. Yeah, I stole her dog.
That's what happened.
Yeah.
And still talk good about it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah. That's the part that's
true. And another thing too, that's true about wise counsel, because I had a friend that we literally stopped talking. It ended badly. It really did. And I went and talked to somebody because I'm like, what did I do? And after talking to them, they said, why do you keep letting her back in your life? I said, because she's my friend. But she's only taken from you. And they brought up mentally, financially, all those ways. I was always depositing into her. But she never deposited into me. I never could go to her if I needed advice. I couldn't go to her if I needed money. But I was always giving to her. And he was like, you need to be praising God that she's gone. Like, don't worry about it. Just let her be. So sometimes we need to thank God when certain people, leave our lives.
One-sided friendship. Yeah. But like, just to back off to what Princess was talking about how people are only in your life for a season, like prime example, not to be deep about it or anything, but I just recently broke off with my ex recently, and here I am trying to figure out, like, why is it that, we're broken up? Here it is the guy who kept telling me that, I love you forever and I'm going to marry you and this and this and that. And I'm just like, I let this man get into my head with all these talks that he was putting into me. Like, it was drowning me. And so it's just like one day I literally cried. I was in my bed just crying. I'm just like, why am I sitting here looking like a fool? Crying over somebody, crying over somebody who's gone. Crying over somebody who's gone on with their life and their day. They're not crying. I'm sitting over here moping like, well, what did I do wrong? And so it's just like literally I just fell on my knees, and not to be spiritual about it, but I fell on my knees, and I was just like, God, why me? You're not supposed to question God because you never know where he's going to take you in life. But I was just like, why me? And the only thing I kept hearing in my head is he wasn't for you, because where I'm taking you, he can't go as far as I'm getting ready to take you. So just be patient, my daughter, and just wait. And if you wait, I would give you what you never expected. So I literally had to just like, okay, well, let me put my little self on the back or whatever and just move on with life, because I know he's not for me. So like you said, it's only for a season. Yeah.
You gotta remember, you just helped a whole lot of people.
I know, right? All right, that's the preacher over there.
No.
She coming for
No,
you,
no.
Alicia. You need to step it up, step it up, step it up.
No.
She's taking that title. Right. We can't have two bishops. It's either or. Which one is going to be? Which one's going to be?
No.
All right, so I have a question. Okay, so after a breakup, there's always transitions. So transitions are so hard. Sometimes with breakups come transitions for your children. Maris, how did you transition from being married to a single parent, and what advice would you give to any single parent? And you're coming from Romans what?
I had my oldest daughter before I got married. She had a different father, and I think I was 26 when we got married, and so I already had my daughter, and then we had Asia, and I was young and dumb. And I didn't know, and it was just the thought of it. I'm a wife, and and I have house, and I have kids, and it was that thing, and I was not ready. I was not ready at all. So we separated right when Asia was maybe like a couple of months, and it was so easy for me to go back home. Just my mom, you're back again, yeah. And she would let me in. You're back again, yeah.
Knock, knock, Mary's here.
And so it was maybe like 2 years had passed, and we were separated, and then he came back, and we, thought we were going to do it right, get back together, and I got pregnant with the twins, like right away, got pregnant with the twins. And, the Lord had already said, like, I was like, teeter-tottering on, my life as being saved and really living that life the right way. And I felt like, well, my husband come back, and I really, I could be saved for real now, and I could do it the right way, because my husband is back. But it was not supposed to be that way. It was not supposed to be him and I, but when I got pregnant with the twins and found out it was two babies, everybody was like, double for your trouble, because I was not supposed to go back there. So the kids really don't know, because within a couple of months, he left again. And it was just us. It's been us, just us. So I really did not have to deal with that. What I do have to deal with is they feel like this is how family is. They don't understand that traditionally it's a two-parent home. And I have to explain to them, like, that's how I grew up. It was mom and dad. And now with them being teenagers, it is so hard for me to explain them, like, I'm doing the job of two people, guys. Like, usually mom and dad will go in the room, they will have a discussion, and then they will tell you, okay, you can do this, you can do this. It's just my one self. They really have no understanding of that. And I feel like I did them a disservice because of that. I feel like I compensate for a lot because of that. I mean, even I had like got into a real big one with the 16-year-old because I'm trying to tell her, like, girl, no, you don't, Ma, you do it. Ma, you raised us. You got a business. You don't need no man. Girl, that's not it. That's not the point. That's not how it. That's not how it is. Like, no, you don't have to have a man. And yes, I have been that example that you can do it on your own, you can achieve, but you still you can be married, you can have a husband, and you guys wait and you have kids together, and this is not, I can't say this is not the way it's supposed to be, because it happened, and I raised them, and I got a 21-year-old, and I got 2 grandbabies, and I mean, I have a 16. Well, no, I keep saying that. She's 17 now. And I have a set of twins, and I did it. And I, look at them every day, and I, I look at the baby pictures and how I went through all those steps and all those stages, and I did it. But I still want them to know, my girls don't know the daddy's girls, and I had that. I was a daddy's girl. I had that. My girls don't know that. My son does not know, playing ball with his dad, and they don't know that. But if you let them tell him, man, we a bitch, like, I don't know what mama talking. I don't know why mama tripping. She, she did everything for us. So, yeah.
If I can say one thing, society has set up our minds to believe in this superwoman complex. And so your children are the norm, unfortunately, where they think, oh, my mom, she's a superwoman. But I don't want to be. Do I have to be? But society has made us believe that's what's normal. And if you're doing it all, you are amazing and you're the best. And that goes back to self-care, but I don't want to. I want to hang my cape up.
Right.
I transitioned when I left my kids' father. They were of age, so I went from being with their dad to not being with their dad. And I had one that tried me. That was my oldest son, and I kept it 100 with them. I'm like, you either do it my way, or you get out of my house. And I mean, they were like 4, 5, 6, like they were little kids, and he kept trying me. He kept trying me. And literally, I said, okay, so y'all think I'm playing? No, listen, know that I did this. I put my kids in the car. You remember? I put my kids in the car because I'm not going to repeat myself. You're not going to disrespect me, and my house has to be clean. I mean, point blank, period. So I got home, and they were playing video games, and they were just doing all kinds of stuff. And I looked, and my toilet wasn't clean. I was like, so they didn't clean up while I was out working hard. I'm a single mom. Y'all got in this nice house, living it up. I told my boys, go take off all of that. Go put on your basketball clothes and your slides. I told my daughter, take off all of that, put on a sundress and flip-flops. I took them to their father's house. They had a key. I dropped them off. I drove back to Raleigh. I texted him. I said, your children are in your house. They can come back when they can respect who I am and what I do for them. Did you bring clothes? No. Did you bring food? No. Did you bring a toothbrush? No. I'm not sending anything that I pay for because in my house, I know unfortunately I didn't make it with your dad, but this is where we are. So we got to make this thing work. So we're going to work together, or I'm going to do it by myself, and y'all going to go with him. So that's how I dealt with my transition. I love on them. I gave them the world, and I explained to them that I was young, I was dumb, and I'm sorry. But this is where we are now. So you can either make this hard or you can make this easy. That's the last time I had to get on my children or threaten to drop them off. They stayed gone for a good 2 weeks. I loved it, but I went and got my babies.
I can attest to Maris and Miss Candy. I didn't have to go through a transition. We were together, and then we broke up, and then we got pregnant with Rachel. I was at that stage I was going to be celibate, and then I got caught up. So that's where I was.
So that's just not working for us.
No, it's not.
Just let it. Don't even say it. Don't even say it.
We're going to take that out.
Right. So
Don't even say it.
I was.
Doesn't work.
So that's where I was
Doesn't work.
at that moment, and I was, before we got pregnant, I was doing good, and I had to go and tell my mom and my pastor and my dad. And my mom punched me. And we was at church, and I was like, dang, Mom, you didn't have to punch me at church. Like, you could have waited till we got home. So I went and told my pastor, and he was just like, really like blanked on me. And I was like, it's okay, bro. Like, he was like, what you gonna do? I said, bro, what you mean? This ain't no question. Yeah. Sis don't want no kids. He was like, well, what was you doing to? I said, we weren't doing that, but still, I'm not about to I can't have no kids right now. So he was like, no, you're not doing that. And you're going to take care of this baby. And if you need help, you just reach out to me. So I did good for a whole 7 years without having another baby. But then I got caught up again.
You use the word?
Yeah, I used the word. But I had to do the same thing.
It might be that book that you're reading.
had to.
Lots of prayers.
The
Lots
book.
of prayers.
Yeah. I had to do the same thing that you did to your kids to my daughter. And she was being disrespectful. And I worked at her school because I drive buses. So I told her dad, I said, when you get off work, she's going to be waiting on you because she's being very rude and very disrespectful. And I worked too hard to put a roof over our head with one income coming in, and I'm not going to do it. He said, well, bring her clothes. I'm not doing anything. You go and buy her some blue khaki pants, a skirt, and wash that same top over. Do whatever you got to do, because if I have to do it, then you have to do it. She was gone for a whole month, so she kept calling me every day. Mommy, I'm so sorry. Just come and get me. I said no, and I hang up the phone. But it was just it's just tough love at that moment. And now I'm in a stage like transparency back to the sex thing. I know we moved on, but I just had to recently stop because, like you said, it was blinding. It's still blinding me. And I just told them, we have to stop. I've been with their dad for 11 years. I said, we're not going anywhere. We're just going around like we're the Egyptians, like just walking around in a circle, just going nowhere. And that's what we are, just walking around in circles for the past 11 years and falling to bed and then get back up and doing it over again. Yes. So, I just had to take time out for myself and just back up to take those blinders off because sex will blind you. So, yeah.
I have a perspective. I've never been married, but I did have a live-in boyfriend. We had a kid. But he also was very, very active in my 13-year-old's life. I have a set of twins too. All girls. I got 4 girls. So I do want to say take into consideration sometimes the kids act out after a breakup because they are affected. I know when my ex moved out, my 13-year-old, she was like 7 at the time. That was her dad. Like he's been a part of her life since she was 2. And I remember her coming into my room one day and like, Mommy, I just feel sad all the time and I don't know why. And I knew she was going through depression. And now she suffers. Well, I'm not gonna say she suffers, but she has anxiety, so I have her in therapy. But that's been years ago, and it's just been affecting her to where now she's able to cope. Because we're helping her get steps for that. But at the time, if I wouldn't have taken initiative to really have that talk with her, because she started acting out in school, her and her little sister, her little sister, that's her actual dad, her teacher would call me all the time on Wednesdays. For some reason, it always happened on Wednesdays. It said, Cameron is just crying and crying and crying. And it happens every Wednesday, and we don't know why. I don't know what it was about, what significance Wednesdays held for her, but these kids, they have emotional attachments too. And when that separation occurs and they start acting out, sometimes you gotta look deeper and be like, yeah, self-love is good, but at the same time, they are little human beings and they go through so much, and sometimes they don't talk to their parents because they don't know how to have that adult conversation. So sometimes take into consideration that maybe they just going through the motions just like we go through the motions, Maybe they don't feel like cleaning up because they're going through, they depressed too, just like we are, but
if it was my mom, I'm still cleaning up.
Oh yeah, you still gonna clean up.
I said I don't feel like working. So
I'm still cleaning up.
I don't feel like working.
No, but that's true because even
going back to wise counsel, counseling is so important. Therapy, like I know a lot of, I'm going to say black families because we're all sisters, right? Black families, what goes on in our house stays in our house. And so therapy is like not talked about. Yeah. But therapy is vital. It's so important to pay attention to your kid. Like I have never had to transition or anything like that, but therapy period. It's so important to pay attention to our children to see what they need. Like you said, they're little humans. My 11-year-old, I'm telling my husband all the time, I think we need to get a child therapist because she's clearly dealing with something and it's not something we can help her with. But a lot of black families just overlook therapy as though it doesn't exist. And if we actually took the time to get our kids therapy, ourselves therapy, like we could deal with a lot more. Yeah. We could break a lot of generational curses.
And you know what? And another thing we didn't learn, we couldn't express ourselves growing up. You would get backslapped just for saying, I got a headache. I mean, I don't know. But one way I dealt with my children growing up was I made my kids talk about hard topics. So we did lemon squeezes. We did lemon squeeze. Sometimes they were scheduled. Sometimes it was because Tyrese acting weird. So I would text the phones, lemon squeeze. They know, come in the living room. Everybody leave your phone. We got to talk. My husband come with the notebook, and we take notes. Or if they getting in an argument, I give them a few minutes to fix it. If they don't fix it, it's time for a lemon squeeze. Everybody go in the living room. Our last lemon squeeze was right before my daughter. And right before my daughter had my grandson, and we all was in the living room crying. Like my entire family. Now my grandson is only 2. So that lets you know it wasn't too long ago, but at this point they're young adults. My children are 21 through 25 now. So that's 2 years ago. We were all in the living room talking about a hard issue because they weren't getting along. And I taught my kids that you have to talk about these things. We are family. And you can't be mad with your brother or sister for 5 or 10 years over who ate the last ice cream out of the refrigerator. So when something happens, I'll tell them, okay, tell the family what's wrong with you. And they called me to the living room one time. They called me to the living room, and I'm like, I know I ain't did nothing. I'm a good mom. And they said, Mom, we want to know why sometimes you come home mad with us. That was one thing. The second thing they told me was, if you're mad with one child, you're mad with all of us. Which is true.
But you know what? Pat on the back for you for them feeling comfortable enough.
Girl, look, I want to say, first of all, but what I did was I apologized to my children. And I made an effort that if Tanka made me mad, that I was only mad with her, and that I wouldn't take it out on the boys or if the boy. Because honestly, when they used to make me mad, I would go shut myself off from all of them. Be like, I don't like none of y'all children. You know, I should left y'all where I was at. But now it's so much better because now they really listen to each other. Like if they have an issue, they know how to solve it without me. And me and my sister, and you know, I know this is gonna be aired, but she knows we just built a relationship on 43. It's when I say I make sure I call my sister now, I make sure that I text her. I just make sure she feels loved because I missed her. And I have all these close women. If I start crying, y'all don't pay me no mind.
Okay.
I have all these women. By me being a stylist, I have hundreds of women that love me. But my relationship with my sister was terrible. And I'm like, how can all these people love me and call me sis, but I don't hear it from my sister? And we grew up in the same home. So I didn't want that for my children. So I'm like, y'all gonna love each other. Y'all gonna talk. If it hurts, say I'm hurt. Say don't do that to me ever again. So I get it when you say they go through, and they do. So I just taught my kids at a young age, if something's wrong, pull it, call it what it is. And so we talk about it. So
You sound just like our parenting things are kind of similar. I apologize, and that's a learning behavior. I had to learn that, you know, they still have feelings, and sometimes we are wrong. Sometimes we will spaz out and be like, now you ain't have to do all of that. Like, and we have the right to do that as their parents, but sometimes it's a way to go about doing it, and your emotions get the best of you. Sometimes it's like you have a lot going on, but I feel like the root of it is how you were raised. Like my mom, she didn't feel comfortable going because her mama was real saved. Like, don't go there talking about you think you want to have some sex. Like, But she raised me how her mom raised her, and I think she was able to talk to other people's kids, but it was harder for her to have that talk with me and my sister. So I ended up getting pregnant with my twins and not telling nobody until I had one of them on the couch, and then everybody had to come to the hospital, and I found out I was having twins at the hospital along with all my family. But that just came because I was too scared to say anything. I'm a preacher's kid. You can't get her pregnant. But just going back to changing the generational curses and learning how to, it's tough to talk to my kids sometimes about my twins. They're 17. They're going to college this year. So I'm like, I have to make sure y'all still feel comfortable coming to me anytime. I don't want y'all to make the same mistakes I did. So just having that open communication. I love that, what you said.
Yeah, I have a 21-year-old, and when I found that I was going to be a grandmother at 40, so she was only 18 at that time.
me too, girl.
Right. You know.
You fat just like your mom.
Right? That was
That's what I told her. You fat just like your mom.
You know what I said? I said, you know, I was like, didn't we have this conversation? I was so transparent with the girls because I did not want them to do what I did. I said, listen, you can have sex and not get pregnant. And if that's what you want to do, you know, let me know. Let's talk about it. Let's prepare for it. You know, there's nothing wrong with that because we were scared. We were afraid. Like, I mean, definitely afraid. My dad was like, I'm gonna pack you up and take you to the homeless shelter if you get pregnant and stuff like that. So, you know, we were afraid. Yes. And I grew up in Miami, Florida. And it's this shelter called Camilla's House. That's a scary place. And my daddy drove us down there and was like, this where you gonna live if you do it. Yes. So, but I didn't want my girls
And you made it out of that homeless shelter.
I didn't make it there. Listen, I ain't never got it. I didn't want my girls to feel that way, you know, when it comes to their sexuality, when it comes to feeling like that, especially when the oldest one was getting to that point. So I had that talk with her, and she got pregnant. All right. And I said, listen, you want to have a baby when I still got kids to raise? I'm not going to be the grandma that you think I'm going to be. I'm not going to be like that because I still got your brother and sisters here. Right. So she had the first one. Then got pregnant again.
Come on, preach, sis. I got another one.
Give me another one. But I say to her, you know, you can still rectify this. It's not over. Life is not done. But you need to make better choices. And now you living for them. You can't live for you. You on the back. We give you selfish care days, but it's only a day now. Now you have to live for your two girls, and that's the same things that I had to do. You know, I had the kids when I was in my, you know, young. I lost all my 30s. You know, done, finished. Yes, because I'm raising babies. So, you know, I just wanted my girls to know that your life is not over. You know, you still can live, you still can do, you just gonna be a little bit harder, and you got a little bit more work to do. And don't give no more babies.
So, well, you kind of touched on your transition though, for how you were with your children's father, and then you guys separated, but you're now married now. So how was that transition as far as blending your family?
So when you blend families, it's got to be a lot of communication on both sides. Baby dads, baby moms, kids, especially the kids, because children tend to listen to who they're around the most. Yeah. And they will believe who they're around the most, no matter what you show them when you're around them. So with me and my children, I told them, I said, look, it didn't work with your dad, but I'm with someone now who loves me. And if they love me, they're going to love you. I expect you to respect him, he's going to respect you. He did the same with his children. And at the end of the day, as a couple, you got to keep your eyes on that. Yeah. Because I'm not trying to be funny, but kids can be hateful. Yeah. And if they don't want you together, they would do everything in their might to break you apart. And it has almost happened to us. And we got counseling. And what was told to us is, one day those kids are gonna be grown. They're gonna be with who they want to be with, whether you like it or not. And there's nothing you're gonna be able to do about it. Right. So tell them what it's gonna be. They either follow suit or they don't. But don't let that break y'all apart if y'all truly love each other. Yeah. So that's what we decided to do. We are together whether anybody wants us to be or not. Yeah. And as long as no one is being disrespectful, everything is good.
You know, so my parents were together for 27 6 years, I believe. So for some of you who don't know, my dad passed away a few years ago. And that has been a hard transition for me with my mom, with, you know, being okay with her, like, dating. And seriously, I struggle to this day. I'm literally the last person that finds out stuff. Like,
It's not fair to her.
right. And so that's something that I'm personally working on because, you know, as I have 2 older brothers, but they didn't live in our house because we're a blended family also. So I was raised as the oldest. And so the protector, you know, when my parents weren't around, I was the one cooking those oodles and noodles my mom left for us in the cabinet and things like that. So when my dad passed away, I felt like I was the one that had to step up and be the person my mom needed, not realizing that there's some needs that she has that I cannot fulfill. And so praise God. Right, but you know, right, but you know, you don't think about that when you're focused on something. And so it's one of those things where I have to be transparent. And I tell my mom, like, I'm not ready. But recently I've been like, okay, you know what, Mom? If that's what you want to do, go ahead. But this is the only way he's going to be able to come and be part of our lives. He has to be rich. And he has to pay for my apartment. Praise God. No, but on a serious note, that's a hard transition for when you've seen your parents together. And my mom went to school for Christian counseling. So my house was one of those houses that we had to talk about stuff. We had to go to counseling. My dad was a preacher, but my mom had the counseling side. She's like, no, we're not doing that. Everybody sit your black behinds down, and we're gonna talk about these things. And so it's just one of those things. No. No. Sit yourselves down. Everybody sit down. So, you know, I can't relate to not growing up in houses that didn't talk about it, because we were like those houses, like we had to talk about it. My mom made sure, like, okay, you guys have to love each other. You guys have to talk to each other. Like, so when my dad passed, it was just like, why are you trying to change this dynamic? We fixed it. We good. And now you're trying to bring this other man in here, and I don't know who he is. I don't know what you do, where you come from. So that's a hard transition also when you've seen your parents together. And yeah, it's hard. But you know what? As time goes, like, you find ways of coping with that particular situation. Yeah. Like, it never necessarily gets easy. It just gets manageable.
And maybe your focal point should be you want to see your mom happy.
Yes.
Make that the focal point, and then, you know, you won't make him pay your rent.
Yeah. Well, I mean, gracious. Good God. Okay. I mean, he could pay some. Yeah, a little something, just a little something. Water bill, electricity, anything, you know what I'm saying? Instacart, whichever one. All right, so Queria, so we've all have been in love, and some still are, and love is such a beautiful thing. But love can also hurt when it's with the wrong nigga or person. How? How do you deal?
It just got hot. Turn the air back.
A place. Yes, sir. So, how do you deal with being in love with someone who just isn't in love with you?
I would say first you have to communicate that. You gotta talk to that person and let them know where your love is at compared to them. It's kind of like you're breaking your own heart, because you don't want to stay in that situation because you know it's not going anywhere. So breaking your heart and allowing yourself to open up to others, because as women we shut ourselves off to other men when we fall in love. And you want the opportunity to meet someone because you already know this man don't want you. Right. So I've been in that situation, and the main thing I do is I break my own heart. I cry myself out, and I write the pros and the cons down to let myself realize, like, you're giving unconditional love to someone who won't even give you nothing.
Can you put that down, please? We don't want it to break. Bless. Put that decor down. My God. Does anybody else have anything else to add to that?
I think that part comes with the self-care too. If you really love you, you're not gonna allow someone, to be in your life knowing that they genuinely don't care about you. So first, we need to start with loving ourselves. I think that's the first place. Fall in love with you, and then you won't need anyone else, especially if there's conditions on their love. Yeah.
All right. Bless. Okay, Miss Princess. So, bless, and bless. All right, Princess. So, guy best friends can bring so many happy moments, right? And there are a lot of pros with having a guy best friend. And then there are a few cons because sometimes you can't talk to them how you can talk to your girlfriend. What happens when you fall in love with your guy best friend and maybe they don't feel the same way? And how do you move on? And how do you handle future friendships?
I don't know how you knew I've been through this before.
We talked about it, remember?
Well, we have. This happened a while ago, but the feelings, you never forget those feelings. Me and this guy, we were best friends. I'm talking about like best friends. And I don't know how in the world I ended up falling in love with him because I knew all of it. It was different. I could talk to him like I would talk to my homegirls, and he would talk to me, and we would just indulge and give everything. And then we started like falling for each other. I don't know how it happened because we were both. That was when we was in our whole stage. So we were sharing so much information with each other, and I'm not sure how those lines crossed to where we just felt like I want to try this out. But it happened, and I don't think I thought that he was in love with me, but apparently he wasn't because I remember I made him a MySpace page. This is when MySpace was popping. I had made him a MySpace page, and since I had the password, I went in his little inbox and saw that he had a whole entire girlfriend. So you kept me in the friend zone, but then you go get another girlfriend. I was literally depressed. I couldn't eat. I couldn't do anything. When those type of things happen. You just have to like Amber said earlier. You got to go through the motions, let yourself feel, and realize that maybe you fell in that hole by yourself. There was nothing that warranted me falling in love with him. Like I said, I was wondering how the heck did that happen? It just happened, and there was nothing that he did. He wasn't taking me on no dates. He wasn't feeding me no bull crap. He wasn't dating or courting me. I literally let myself fall in love with somebody that was doing, like you said, nothing. He wasn't doing anything. But it was the time issue. When you spend so much of your time talking to somebody, you're building chemistry, and it's hard to separate yourself when you're a woman because, like I said, we're emotional beings and we're really in tune with what goes in our ears. So if a man is telling you everything that you would love to hear from somebody that's into you, but he's telling you stuff like that about maybe he's doing this stuff for other women, you dang, he look kind of cute, and now you're finding yourself, instead of wearing joggers, now you want to wear your little shorts around them, or you want to get cute, a little cuter when he come around. If he starts telling you about his little dates, you start getting a little jealous a little bit. Sometimes in those situations, you gotta pull yourself back, and realize this guy is my friend. He's my best friend. If I want to protect that friendship, I need to hold myself accountable and pull myself back because I'm letting myself go to a place that he not taking me to. Yeah. And if you want to be a wife one day, which some of you are, y'all can tell me if I'm wrong because I ain't never been a wife, but I feel like men are supposed to lead you to that place. If they're courting you, they lead you to that place. You don't drag them you gonna be my man. Right. That's not how it works. So if he's not leading you to that place, then say, be hold up, boo. Let me sit down and collect my thoughts, gather myself, and realize if I want to protect my friendship, I want to protect both of our hearts, so he won't have to lose me as his friend. I'm gonna pipe down and maybe you have a conversation with him and be like, look, this is how I'm feeling, and I might need to take a few months off and let me, digest the fact that we're not falling in love. I'm falling in love with you, and I need to go check myself.
Yeah.
That's good. All right. Anybody else?
I've never been able to have a man for a best friend. I can't say anything about this. Can't even try. I never been.
Not for you.
Vaughn was my homeboy, not my husband. I mean, what does that tell you?
And we didn't have sex. Like the whole time we were friends, we didn't have sex until later on. After we had already established that it wasn't gonna go nowhere, but now we're not friends anymore. But like I said, that was years ago. But I did learn a lesson in that if I ever was to be in that situation again, how to handle it.
Good. All right. So, Laisha, it's your turn. So, listen, I'm the type of friend that will go all the way out for their friends and make sure my friends know that I love them and they can feel it. But what happens when, and I'm sure you all are the same way because all you guys are so wonderful. So, what happens when you feel like you're giving all your energy into your friendship and you guys are friends for years, and one day you realize that that's actually really not your friend? What do you do with them?
Been there, done that. But the funny thing about it was I didn't realize it, like you said, until years later. Yeah. And it took my husband pointing out, like, that's not really your friend, right? Like, you're her friend, but she's not really yours. Like, if you put into perspective events and things that have been hosted, look at how you gave the effort versus how yours was half put together. Yeah. You know what I mean? Sure. And it was as if it was done out of obligation because you're considered my friend and you would look like the bad friend if you didn't do X, Y, Z. And for me, like you said, I had to break my own heart and just say, it's not working. Like it's not what I think it is. And so what I did was I stopped calling. I stopped texting. I stopped reaching out. And it killed itself. You know what I mean? And for me, like, that taught me, like, okay, sis, you really were giving a lot of effort into something that was not benefiting you. It wasn't the relationship, it just wasn't the same. It wasn't any reciprocity in it. What I would give, you wouldn't. What I gave, you didn't. The effort I gave, you gave a fourth of it. Not even a half. You gave a fourth of it. But when I stopped calling, when I stopped reaching out, when I stopped trying, because I was the one that was kind of grounding the relationship, when I stopped trying, it stopped working. And I was okay with that. And like you guys said, I had to just break my own heart and be okay with letting go of and realizing that I had put years into a friendship and a situation that just was no longer it never benefited me at all.
That's good. And you know what? Growing up, we had, my family was not perfect. We had certain things that had transpired and and so my dad went through a phase of, in and out, not because of my mom or anything, but so my dad struggled with drugs. And so he would go in and out. And my mom was so good at, making sure we weren't in the middle of it. So we always thought that he was going to a job. And so one day we found out, we went to, because we're from New York. So we went back to New York to one of my cousin's birthday party. And when we got back, it was literally right before Christmas. Our stuff had been taken out of our house. And our door was knocked down, the front door, microwave was taken. And unfortunately, it was my father, God rest his soul. So he had a struggle at that moment. And I remember at that time, I had to pick the pieces and take care of my sisters because my mom was working and she was working at night. And so we would get out of school and I would have to cook my sisters dinner. My uncle would come over just to check on us, but I was the one, making sure we were. So I learned to care for people. Yeah. I learned to make sure everybody is good. Yeah. No one beside me can lack. And I have carried that to this present moment. And I get to a point where I can literally say to myself, you know what? this person just asked me for $60 and I literally have 61. It's okay. I'll figure it out, but they need it. And so I overextend myself a lot. And so, yeah, seriously. And so a lot of times with friendships, I've realized most of the ones that I have lost was because I cared so much and I gave so much. I would do things like let people stay with me, buy phones for them, just to get everybody back on their feet, thinking, okay, once they get there, they're going to maybe kind of sort of be like, well, at least I'll take you to McDonald's and get a large meal this time. So, it was like that, the burden of caring for people is so hard for me because I will literally say, you know what does everybody need? Yeah. Do you need a shirt today? Do you need pants today? And I'm like, knowing good and well, I can't do it. And I'll find ways of making sure everybody gets it. So now I'm on Afterpay and Klarna, making sure everybody can get what they need. So my issue with friends is I lose them because I do too much. And I feel as if God is like trying to tell me, like, just stop. Yeah. And so now I've gotten to the point where I legit do not let people in. And it's bad because now I don't know how to balance that. Like, I'll meet someone and I'm like, okay, I'm not dealing with you. God bless. Yeah. Now I have this certain few that I talk to all the time, but it's just one of those things. I don't know how to make a genuine friendship off of giving you things.
Yeah. And I think as givers, it's very easy because I'm a giver, right? I will meet a new person. I'm like, oh, I heard they like this. Let me put together this cute little bag for them, right? And takers are going to take as much as you will give. And I feel like as givers, we have to stop shorting ourselves and allow ourselves to get as well. And so I was reading this meme the other day, and it was saying how as givers we love to bless other people and it blesses us to bless them. But as givers we also have a problem with saying, no, that's okay, I don't need, you don't have to do. And we cut off someone else's blessing, right? The same blessing that we get by giving them, we cut theirs off because it's like, no, that's okay, don't do that, because I'm really bad with that, right? I have a thing where don't give me anything. Right? Even my husband, don't give me anything. If I want it, I'm going to buy it myself because I never want people to be like, well, I did that. No, you didn't do nothing. I did it myself, right? And so as a giver, it's hard for me to receive. And so I completely understand what you're saying. You kind of put up this wall and saying, I'm good. I'll rock with these couple people, but I've had too many takers in my life to let someone else in. But again, as givers, we have to realize takers are going to take as much as we give. We can give till we're blue in the face, and they're going to take till you purple. So we have to learn when to cut it off, but not cut ourselves off from the blessings that other people may be able to give us or be able to deposit in our lives.
I think the word for that is boundaries. Yeah. Having boundaries is important no matter what relationship you're in, even with your children, your husband, your friends. Boundaries have to be in place. And I like that quote that you said, because someone actually said that to me, like, don't block my blessing because you don't want to be. So every now, you want something to eat. Yeah, girl, let me have that cupcake over there. I ain't blocking your blessing. Okay, I'm taking it. So I think that's definitely a great quote, because you don't want to do that. And boundaries, if you have boundaries in place, I think that just diminishes everything when it comes to that. So
I can say, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, sweetheart.
I can say as an educator, as a teacher, we take care of kids all day long. So I found out that I was actually reeling people in that I needed to take care of because of my position as a teacher. It was a habit of me taking care and making sure everybody was all right. So one day I was sitting at work and God was like, I gave you kids. You got your own kids. You got the kids here. Why are you taking care of other people? Mm-hmm. Like, I'm showing you're taking care of someone. Don't keep reeling people in who need something, because you're taking energy from yourself. You're breaking yourself down. Right. So I had to realize, like, I had to literally sit back and be like, who's here to help me? Or who's here for me to take care of them. And I had to figure out how to put a wall up, set boundaries, because it was so many men coming in, and it was always like, well, I need this, I need that. I can't take care of you. I got 2 kids at home, and I got 20 in the classroom. So I had to realize, like, I don't need you. I cut you off. Goodbye. So.
That's true. And it also makes me think of the word listen. Like, you have to listen to yourself. You have to be proactive about listening and setting those boundaries and listening to them. Like, I had an urge to just be alone this week. Like, not in my family group chat, not just, like, let me just listen to Amber for once. Like, because it just be too much going on. And I'm a teacher too, so it just, you know, all this remote learning and just, oh God, don't get me started on that. But, like, you have to listen to yourself. That word is my word for the year, because sometimes I do put those boundaries in place, but do I follow them all the time? Absolutely not. So what's the point of having a boundary if you're not going to stick by and do what you say that you're going to do? So when the spirit is in you, whatever spirit that may be, to do something other than what you're doing, you really have to sit back and listen and, like, just forget what your normal is. Listen. Right.
So I'm like you, Sanina. I was the oldest, and my mom was a single mom my entire life. And, you know, the way you're raised would definitely turn you into somebody you don't mean to turn into. So growing up, for anybody know me, I mean, my birthday is a holiday. And I know a lot of people feel that way, but I never celebrate my birthday growing up. Like, never, ever. Because she never had the money. It was my birthday 4 days from Christmas. So it was always, you born too close to Christmas. You born too close to Christmas. So when I got of age, I made it about me. But what I was going to say is, hearing my mom tell me, if your dad was here to do this, or if somebody would help me do this, like, it was always an excuse why she couldn't do what she could do. So it made me very independent, like extremely independent, to the point where when I got on my own and I ended up being a single parent, I grinded. My son is 25. I left his dad when he was about 6. I've never asked him for anything. Everything my kids ever had, they got it from me. And it's because I never want to have to look my kids in the face and say, you can't celebrate your birthday because your dad won't help me. So it made me a giver. So I always want to help people around me, because I was not used to no one helping me. So I'm like, I'm going to help this person, I'm going to help that person, because I know how it is not to have the help. But at the same time, then God sat me down because I wouldn't let my husband help me. And I heard her say, even with her husband, because I used to tell my husband, I want this bag. I used to give him like 3 days. Babe, I want this hairdo. You got 4 days to buy my bundles. Like, literally, I would tell him what I wanted, and if I didn't have it by a certain amount of time, I would go get it. Until my husband told me, he said, Kenny, you won't let me be your husband. Because I had this thing where I would always want to do it for myself, because I don't want to hear why you can't do for me. So when I got sick, and it forced me to take things. I would never let nobody do nothing for me. But when I got sick, and God was like, you're going to take this help. And people were bringing groceries to my house. And just so y'all know, I had blood clots. So I had to be sat down. But people were bringing groceries to my house. I didn't know how to take those groceries. Like, and then they were texting me like, Candy, what you want? I'm like, okay, I like Special K. I like almond milk. Like, and that's all I want. But you can't eat that for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I didn't even know how to make a grocery list to send out to anybody, because I have in my mind that I don't need anybody. But in reality, sometimes, y'all, we do. And God will put the people around you to help you, and we got to learn how to be okay with people helping me. I wish a client would ask me what I want to eat now. Some sushi. Are you close to Conky? Like, I'm like you, I don't hold back no more. Like, ever since I got sick in 2017, now if you want to give me something, I'm taking it. If the Lord put me on your heart, what he tell you to give me? Yep, I want it. Like, literally, I had to change, but it's sad that I had to get sick, and that sick, to see that it's okay to receive stuff. So sometimes, y'all, we got to put our little pride to the side, or whatever we're dealing with, put it to the side, and let God use people to bless you. And it's okay.
There was this pastor that I was watching the other day, and I think his name is Pastor Vernon, Ari Vernon, and he was talking about the gift of receiving. And he was saying it doesn't necessarily matter what you've been through. It doesn't matter what they say about you, what they call you. If someone wants to give you something, receive it, because these are the promises of God. And so it's like, it's one of those things where it's just like, we have to get to a point where we're just like, you know what, Lord, I might not understand. I might not get it. I might not even like the person that's giving me this gift. But that is the gift that you're giving to me. So I'm going to actually receive it. And whatever your will is for this gift, let it be done. And so I feel like as women, because we're so independent, we're so strong. And, you know, growing up, even though I had both my parents, my dad made sure I knew what it meant to work. I knew what it meant to take care of myself. I was 14 with 2 jobs, one in Subway, Burger King, got fired for both because I was on the phone talking to friends. But and when I lost those first 2 jobs, he was like, you better not lose another job. And I grabbed hold to that statement. And I've lost, since I've been working the first 2, I think I've lost 1 job. But since I've been a teacher, I have never lost a job, because my father was just like, do whatever it is that you got to do to keep your job, because nobody is taking care of you. And so one of those things where it's just like, when you're so independent, you're like, well, I just don't need what you about to give me, because I just brought it myself and it's actually being delivered today. And so, right. But when I was listening to the pastor, when he was talking about receiving, I was just like, you know what, Lord, let me take a step back. And if someone wants to, it can be small, it's just a book. If someone wants to give me this book, I'm going to learn to say thank you. Because I have this thing where when people give me compliments, I laugh. And it's like, why you keep saying I sound good? You're just as crazy as whoever your mama is. So it's just one of those things where I'm just like, I have to learn to just say, you know what, Sanina, you can receive this gift and it's okay. Yeah, so.
I wanted to just share about the friendships. Sometimes you also have to look for red flags, just like you would in a relationship. God will always show signs early on. I think sometimes we exaggerate people's placement in our lives, and we are so loose with that friend, especially best friend. Hey, best friend. Right. We're real loose with that word, and that sis word. We use that really loosely. And sometimes we end up hurting ourselves because we place those people in those spots, and they are not intended for that. Some people are intended to be just your associate. And you also have to keep in mind, like, we all grown. I'm 37. I have friends that understand if I don't talk to you every week, be okay with that, because the love, trust me, boo, the love ain't went nowhere. Like, if you call me and you really need me, I'm gonna pick up, but don't feel like you have to talk to me every day or even every month. Like, sometimes just know that we good. We are good. And you don't have to question my friendship unless you have to question my friendship, unless I've done something to make you do that. But again, just place people in your life where they should be placed, and let God lead you to do that. Like, God, is this person my friend? No. Okay. Place them in the associate zone and stop trying so hard to make them your friend, because that's not where they're supposed to be.
I got a friend like that. We've been friends for some years. We actually had a mutual friend. That's how I got close with her, but we're not friends with her anymore. And when me and Sanina became close, she got upset.
Oh, yeah.
And it was very difficult. But I'm like, sis, we don't talk like that.
Right.
Like, we're still cool. Like, we call each other baby mama, but we're cool. like that's the title we gave each other. Yes. Because we were that close. Like, her baby daddy was cool with my baby daddy, whatever. Right. They play ball. So we was all close. And once she saw I started hanging around with Sanina, going places where she would call me or text me and throw up the eye emoji, and I'd be like, bro, what's wrong? Yeah. And she'd be like, oh, so you got a new best friend? I'm like, bro, chill. Like we me and you are still cool. And like you said, give and take. Like, I've always poured into her. She's had troubles or whatever. And outside of her family, I've done more for her than her family. Sanina can vouch, like, I'm like the mom of the group. And she gravitates to me because, like you said, I like to see everybody around me eat. Mm-hmm. And my mama had to tell me, and she was like, Brianna, that's not your friend, because you're always doing, like, I've lent her my cars. Mm-hmm. They stayed at my house. Mm-hmm. And mama was like, she's not your friend. Right. Like, she's just taking. But I have to see that for myself like outside of my mom telling me. I just have to actually see it before I can believe it and stop talking. So I can go days without talking to her, and then she'll still throw up the eye emoji, or she'll call me and be like, and be like, "What's wrong?" Like, "Oh, so you talk to your best friend more?" I'm like, "Listen, we have me and Sanina have a close relationship. It's a greater relationship than me and her have." And I had to tell her that, and she just got upset. I was like, "Well, it's okay. I'm okay. If you want to not be friends anymore, I'm okay with that, because you older than me. I'm still young. You'll be all right. Like, you going to find some more friends wherever you at, and I'm still going to be friends with Sanina at the end of the day. Right. So you hurt yourself. You ain't hurt me." So.
All right.
Breaking up friendships.
All right, I'm gonna have to get myself over here. Y'all need to pick last. I didn't even know all that was going down.
It's okay.
Good guy.
But any friend who has to question your loyalty because of another friend is not really your friend.
They are too dependent on what your friendship is, and it might be a need. It might be a need for them that has nothing to do with being your friend. It might be just some type of void that they're trying to fill in their life. That's why, child, leave me alone. Yeah. I'll talk to you later. How about that?
I don't believe in babysitting grown women. I don't believe in babysitting no grown woman. I don't believe I need to talk to you every day. I don't believe I have to explain my relationship with any other person, human being in the world to you. Like, when you start showing me that you might be hating, jealous, I'm cutting you off at that point. It ain't no what's wrong. I'm not asking you what's wrong, because at that point I don't care. You crazy. Like, what do you think? You can't control me. I'm a whole person. God gave me free will. And you think you gonna come control me? Absolutely not. Cut off. I don't like people like that. Don't be jealous. And what are you jealous of? Right. You ain't the only person in the world. Like, people like that, something wrong with them, and I want no parts.
But it's, I do understand what you guys are saying, but I think sometimes we have to sometimes take a step back and say, people suffer with rejection really bad, and there are some ladies, or men that just have that. I don't feel like it's intentional at times. I do feel like they have to grow out of it, and that they have to be shown. But if you have never really been in a place where you've genuinely had a good friend, where you genuinely had good relationships, it's hard when you meet someone. So if it's me and Princess and we rocking it out, and I've never really had a good friend, and then here comes a queer, she wants to talk to Princess, I'm like, okay, I thought this was my friend. And I think it takes time, and I know it bothers me for sure, but I've learned that some women have never been exposed, have never seen it, and they just want that friend love. And unfortunately, it can be worrisome, and you can keep explaining yourself over and over. Lord knows it. I know you can be explaining yourself over. Right, but it's a real thing. Women suffer with that. They suffer with rejection. They suffer with not knowing what a good friend is. So when they receive it, it's like, why do you need another good friend if me and you are fine?
That's a lifetime movie.
It is.
But you gotta watch, like you said, you gotta watch people like that. That's the same way in relationships. If you date a man, who's never had a father, and his mom feel like that's her husband, right? Like, no, baby, that's not your husband. Right. That's your son, and he's my man. Yeah. Oh yeah, and it's a real thing. So when you come across friends that feel that entitled to have you all to themselves, communication is everything. If that's your real friend and y'all really down for each other, have a look, sis. I love you, and I love her, and I love you both in different ways. You both balance me out in completely different ways. I'm not gonna ever stop being who I am to you. You're not gonna ever stop being who you are to me. And have a conversation. That's all it takes. I'm a big advocate on communication, very honest, open communication, because it really fixes everything if you want to fix it. If you don't want to fix it, then y'all know what the word is. Okay.
All right. So ladies, listen, this has been an amazing conversation. Seriously. This has been so great, and I truly believe that someone was really blessed and they walked away with so much wisdom. Now, before we leave, though, I would love for each of you to give one piece of motivation to the ladies that you feel pressed in your heart. It can be about anything, something that they can walk away with and carry for the rest of their lives. So, who would like to get started?
This doesn't have a mic in my hand.
And you are the new elect bishop.
The devil is that. No. Let's set this straight. No.
But no, all jokes aside, one motivation thing that I would give advice to is older women and younger women, that we are virtuous. I tell anybody that we are clothed in strength and dignity, and we will I'm not going to, but we will laugh without fear of the future. So that's one thing that I will say is a great motivational to anybody, honestly.
I'm just gonna go back and say self-care. Just be selfish, and wear your crown proudly. When you feel it slipping, just put it back in place and just continue to be selfish until you get in a place where it's, you're okay. So self-care.
I would say be authentically you. Be exactly who you are, because when you present yourself exactly who you are, you'll draw the people that you're supposed to draw. When you pretend, that's when you go through all the ups and downs and the woes of life and relationships. But when you present yourself exactly how you are and who you are, those who are supposed to flock to you will. So just be authentic in all that you do.
So I would just say, like tonight, center yourself around people, women that are doing better than you are. Because if you're the one in the room that's doing the best, like Sanina said, sometimes you will be that empty one. There's nobody for you to call on when you're in need of help. So just get you a circle of women that are going places, doing things that you want to do, that's been where you've been, that you can glean and learn from, because you're not always right.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Sister Amber.
Let's see. I like to think. Right now, in this moment, on my heart is that you have to hustle for your healing and don't stop until you get it.
That's good. Yes.
Don't take that poetry, y'all.
Copyright.
Is that
on camera? Candy.
Okay, so this is something I say a lot, and I'm going to say it again for those who have never heard me say it. My advice to anyone watching is be the person that you want to deal with. Don't do anything to anyone that you don't want done to you. Just be that light, that peace, that energy that someone else needs, because we all carry a lot of weights. We all have struggles, so you might be that person that can cause the next person to break down, or you can be the person to cause the next person to lift their head up. So be what you need.
That's good.
I have a acronym that I use, and it's BOSS, and it's built on self-success. And because I am a single person, a single mom, I always celebrate the things that I can accomplish for myself, for my family, and that's how I build myself. That's how I encourage myself. Little accomplishments, I celebrate them, and I'll just say to every woman, she is a boss. She's built on self-success.
I would say forgive yourself. Stop using time to keep beating yourself down for your past mistakes, your past traumas, your past flaws. God has already forgiven you. Forgive yourself and keep moving forward, and use those trials and tribulations to build your ramp up to your goal that you're trying to get to.
I will leave you guys with lies with start living and not just existing. Allow yourself to be vulnerable and soft. We are rose petals. We don't have to have this hard exterior all the time, no matter what society says. You can allow yourself to be just a woman, and you know, that's it.
Yeah, me too. So, if I can say anything to the women also too is it's okay for you to say you need help. You have women around you that can support, that can encourage, that can push you forward when you just feel at your lowest. And it doesn't mean that you have to absolutely tell them everything that is going on in your life, but you can at least come to them and say, I'm down this week. And so it's okay for you to come to someone and say that I need help. So ladies, thank you so much for joining me on this show. It was so amazing. Yes. Listen, again, I'm Sanina, and I look forward to seeing you guys on the next episode. And thanks again, ladies. And we love you, and good night.
So, bows versus bros.